A low passage, torch smoke stinging your eyes, and the men who guard your body have stopped walking. Their hands are sliding toward their swords. There is nowhere behind you to run. The first blade goes in under your jaw, then a second, between your ribs, and you slide down the cold wall while the men you fed and paid keep cutting, your own guards. Why? 30 years earlier, on the frozen Rhine frontier, a toddler waddles between the tents in a soldier's uniform 3 sizes too big, and the hardest men on the border grin and call him Caligula, Little Boots. His father is Germanicus, the general every man on that frontier would die for. He swings the boy up onto his shoulders, and the whole camp roars for the two of them at once. His whole world fits in 3 places. The freezing Rhine forts of his childhood in the far north, Rome glowing at the center, and far to the south, one small island alone in the sea, Capri. Then Germanicus dies. Suddenly, far from home, swearing with his last breath that he's been poisoned, the hero everyone worshipped is gone, and the boy watches the noise of his whole world drain into silence. Then Rome turns on what's left of them. The old emperor Tiberius takes the boy's mother and his brothers one by one. They starve in locked cells until only Gaius is still breathing. They put him on a boat to Capri, into the house of the very man who destroyed his family. And there, Gaius learns the one skill that keeps him alive: bury every feeling behind a smiling mask. 3 places, and his whole life in them. The northern forts where legions once chanted his name. Rome, where the cell swallowed his mother and brothers. And now a boat carrying him to a lonely rock in the sea. Capri. On the island waits Tiberius, the same man whose orders emptied those cells, and Gaius bows to him and smiles and shows his family's killer nothing at all. Villa hangs off a cliff, and terrible things happen behind its doors. So the boy keeps his face soft and pleasant. He has already learned exactly what a single flinch costs in this house. Tiberius watches him for cracks day after day, one tremble of grief, one flash of anger, and it's over. So the boy trains himself to feel everything and show nothing at all. The old man is dying now, and he still can't read the boy across the room. He mutters that he's raised a snake for Rome and then names Gaius in his will anyway. So the boy who taught himself to smile over grief, over terror, over everything, is about to be handed the entire Roman world, and in all those years, no one ever showed him where to stop. They crown him, and the whole city drops to its knees, weeping. Not from fear this time, from love. Little Boots is emperor, and the boy stands there and drinks every tear of it in. So he opens his hands wide. He calls home the exiles, Tiberius banished. He burns the old man's treason files unread. He throws games until the crowd screams itself hoarse, and they love him even more. Then, that autumn, a fever drops him, and for days he burns on the edge of death while the whole city refuses to leave. They camp at his gates through the cold nights, praying aloud, swearing to any god listening that they'll die in his place. The fever breaks. But the man who sits up in that bed is not the one who lay down in it. The warmth is gone from his eyes, and he remembers, name by name, every soul who swore to die for him. So now he collects. A vow is a promise, isn't it? One by one he summons those men to the palace, and the treason trials he once buried come clawing back up out of the ground. Senators trot beside his chariot in their togas, sweating, gasping, while he pours the treasury into marble and gold. The love curdles into fear, and fear, he has decided, tastes better. By now, he speaks to the gods as equals, so why should men rank higher than a horse? Incitatus, his favorite, gets a marble stall, an ivory manger, his own servants, and, they whisper, a seat waiting in the Senate. He stops pretending he's only a man. Across the city, the statues of the gods lose their marble heads, and his own face is fitted on top, so that Rome, kneeling before Jupiter, is really praying to him. The games start to bore him, so one afternoon he has spectators dragged down and thrown to the lions. "Let them hate me," he shrugs, "as long as they fear me." Even a god has to sleep, and someone must stand at the door while he does. His favorite plaything there is Cassius Chaerea, a scarred old soldier he mocks for his strange, soft, high voice. Every dawn Sharia comes for the day's watchword, and every dawn it's an insult, Venus's, and then he must kiss the emperor's ring, twist it into an obscene sign. His jaw tightens. Caligula only laughs. But the laughter stops at night. He can't sleep. Drusilla is dead, and everyone he ever trusted is gone or suspect, so he walks the dark palace corridors for hours, talking to a silence that never once answers back. In those same corridors, other men are whispering, "Sharia isn't alone. Senators, freedmen, fellow guards, each one quietly counting his dead friends." And the whispers begin to braid together into a plan that God never hears. January. The Palatine Games. Every day he takes the same narrow covered passage on his way to lunch, humming, untouchable, a living god who has forgotten that gods can bleed. Inside his own head, it isn't a game anymore. He drapes himself in Jupiter's gold and Venus's silk and stands there, waiting, genuinely waiting for grown senators to fall to their knees and worship him. His favorite courtier of all isn't even a man. It's Incitatus, his horse, who even had guests seated beside him at dinner. And soon, the emperor joked, a consul's chair. The horse is honored. The men are broken. He makes senators run beside his chariot until they choke. He makes consuls stand waiting at his door for hours, then laughs at the sweat running down their faces. Of all his mocked guards, Cassius Chaerea endures the cruelest jokes. Each day he's given a humiliating watchword, Priapus's for example, and Caligula grins while the whole guardroom laughs along. As Chaerea bends to kiss the ring, Caligula twists his hand into something obscene. "Just a bit of fun," he calls it, but not once does he look up at the face hanging above the sword. So, the god strolls off humming, safe among the men he's broken for sport. But one of them carries a Praetorian sword on his hip, and Cassius Chaerea is finished laughing. He isn't alone in it. Half the palace is nursing a private wound, a mocked wife, a stolen fortune, a brother killed on a whim. So Chaerea quietly begins counting his friends. The circle widens in low voices. Senators, freedmen, a second tribune, every one of them has learned the same hard truth. A god can't be voted out of office. He can only be cut down. They choose the Palatine Games. 3 days of theater up on the Palatine Hill, crowds, noise, distraction, and a schedule that, right at midday, pulls the emperor away from all of it alone. From the theater, a single covered passage runs underground to the palace, narrow, low, torchlit, just wide enough for one man at a time. Caligula's private shortcut, and now their trap. Midday comes. He's watched enough blood soak into the sand. He wants a bath and his lunch. So he turns his back on the roaring crowd and heads for that quiet, waiting passage. You step down into the cool dark, alone. Footsteps close in behind you. Chaerea asks for the watchword, and you give it, smirking. "Take this," he says, and the steel splits your jaw. You go down, reaching for your guards, but every sword in that dark is already theirs. 30 blades find the god the soldiers once called Little Boots. The golden boy dies here, on the stone. Chaerea stands over the wreck of a god, his chest still heaving. No cheers, no crowd, just blood ticking down onto the stone, and then the killers scatter, the news already running out ahead of them. But Caligula kept German bodyguards, and grief turns them berserk. They pour through the halls with drawn blades, cutting down conspirators and bystanders alike, avenging a master who had only ever scorned them. Then word spreads that his imperial bloodline has to end. Soldiers go looking for his wife and his infant daughter, and in a single afternoon, his immediate family is scrubbed from the earth. Across the city, the Senate hears that the tyrant is dead, and for one giddy hour they dream out loud, no more Caesars, no more living gods, the old republic drawing breath again. But freedom isn't decided in that marble chamber. It's decided across the city, in the Praetorian camp, where armed thousands already know one cold fact: no emperor means no one left alive to pay them. So, a soldier picking through the palace for loot spots a pair of sandaled feet under a curtain. He tears it back, and there crouches Caligula's own uncle, shaking, certain that his last moment has come. They don't kill him. They kneel, and they hail the stammering, limping man they'd always mocked as their Caesar. Killing the emperor hadn't handed Rome back to the Senate. It had handed it to the last man alive anyone expected. Within the hour, the killing still wasn't done. A tribune cornered his wife, Caesonia, and she stopped running, tipped her head back, and bared her own throat to the blade. Then, the little girl, barely 2 years old, already flashing his temper, a soldier ended her against a wall. Whatever Caligula had been, all of it stopped here, with her. Across the city, the senators finally said it out loud. Republic! Freedom! No more Caesars! But they were arguing over an empty chair the soldiers had already filled. And the story that outlives every bit of it? It begins with a horse. Incitatus, ivory stall, marble stable, a purple blanket across his back, servants, dinner guests bowing low to a stallion. They say he meant to make the animal a consul, a senator in a toga. Maybe he truly did, or maybe it was a knife dressed up as a joke. My horse could do your job better than you. Because every tale we have was written by the men who won, the senators he humiliated, the family that took his place. A god, a monster, and no one left alive to argue back. To scrape all the legends away, and there's still a boy under them. Little Boots, the soldier's mascot, Germanicus' golden son, who learned before he could barely speak that everyone he loved could be taken. Take a grieving child. Hand him a world that can never tell him no. Strip away every limit he ever knew. The monster Rome remembers. Rome helped build him.